Man, that feels good.
Yeah, this is an older video from when my solar array was still standing before I collapsed it. That video is coming soon. Just stick tight. I'll edit that one next. We're going to be doing a different format. I'm just going to be talking because I miss hearing myself talk. So let me know if you like this narration style. But anyway, this is me installing a Ghost Controls gate opener on our gate, just making things a little bit easier out there. And the subtitle for this is something about how everything is more difficult with dogs that are trying to escape your fenced-in property while installing a gate. Something like that is what I was going with. The gate opener instructions were pretty neat, but you'll see me reading them because I want to make sure I'm understanding everything. Not all of my parts matched up perfectly, which again you'll see throughout this video. Overall, it was pretty good. The only thing that didn't really come with it's by default it's made for like a 6x6 fence post, you know, something mounted onto wood, and you have to buy an adapter kit for round like that round post that I have there on the, you know, right there, that kit. That is the adapter for 3-inch. I think they have one for 4-inch as well, in case you have a 4-inch fence post. This is, on a side note, this is steel pipe that is used for basically well drilling. If you're ever in Texas, I think it's mostly Texas, that you see this repurposed pipe used for fences, but probably, I guess, anywhere that they have drilling. This pipe is pretty readily accessible, and it gets a second life after they use it, however much they use it on their drilling rigs. They repurpose it and sell it for fence posts. It makes a pretty good, pretty easy fence post for that. And there you see me struggling trying to put on a nut with a crazy dog, not crazy, but just a dog on my lap. Yes, everything is a little bit harder with dogs, and there you'll see me yelling at them because they took a packet of bolts away that I needed. But, you know, it makes life a little bit more enjoyable, so I'm not too really frustrated at them. I did actually see the need for new, oh my goodness, I need new drill bits because I actually melted through one while I was drilling through that steel fence post. It was pretty. That stuff is really, it seems to be really hard steel, and it's pretty thick to drill through as well. So my drill bit was not new. I was kind of needed to redo it. I'm just installing the control box. You'll see on the bottom there's a couple entry points for wires so that it's nice and weather tight. This one is the battery box. I actually drilled it a little not perfectly centered at first, so you see when I tighten it up, it hung at an angle, so I re-drilled that a little bit lower so it would hang more flat. But anyway, it does require either AC power or a solar panel. The kit that I bought came with a solar panel, which I believe actually still qualifies for a tax credit, like 30% tax back. So be sure to look at that. If you buy a kit with solar, I believe it qualifies for that. But don't quote me on that. I'm not a tax guy. But anyway, it does require a battery. You could have either bought a deep marine, you know, cycling battery. The problem with that is when I looked at the prices, those are all pretty expensive. And this little battery pack for you know, some batteries, you know, it shipped with the project. It kind of looks the same. Instead of me having to buy a battery box, you know, put the battery on the ground or figure out something else to mount, this came with mounting hardware, a nice little, you know, cover, make it weather tight. And I just bought their kit because I think it was only about $100, and so it seemed to be the best thing to buy just based on that, because I mean, it was a pretty good deal. And so I was pretty happy with that kit. it's just some lead acid batteries. I don't know if those batteries are connected in parallel or series. Maybe they're 6-volt batteries and they connect, together in parallel. I didn't really look at the wiring and investigate that because it wasn't really, needed. I just kind of hooked it up. So I'm not quite sure how that setup works. I just know that it works, and I was pretty happy with that kit. Here I'm installing the wires. This is probably the only part I wish the instructions would have been a little bit more clear about, like suggesting which holes to put the wires in. Without thinking about it, I put the 2 skinnier wires in the 2 separate holes in the bottom. The problem is, through those weather type fittings, I forget what those are called. But the problem is the thicker wire from the actual opener wouldn't fit in either one of those other 2 holes with the smaller wire. So I actually had to unconnect one of those. I think I unconnected the one on the right, which was the solar, the battery. And I had to put both of the skinnier ones through the one on the left, and then I put the bigger wire on the empty hole on the right side. So I might actually be doing that right now. But anyway, that's the only problem I really had with the construction. God, my goodness, I did it again. That's what I used to call instructions when I was a little kid, as I was like, can I have the Lego constructions, brother? Yeah, I was thinking about that in the back of my head, and so I know they're called instructions, not constructions. But anyway, that is what was I talking about? Yeah, I didn't really have any problem with the instructions. They're very clear, and they tell you pretty much what to do. It's a very easy setup. There's really not much programming involved. I'll get to that later, but it's a pretty simple job here. The only real problem I ran into was, you'll see in a minute, I had to pretty much weld and buy new bolts for the adapter as the opener connects to the gate. It was really made for a bigger gate. It wasn't made for something quite as small as the tube where you'll see me try to connect this to. So I did try to use the bolt, and here you'll see me shear the bolt head off. I tried to use it anyway. I thought maybe if I suck that opening down, it will it'll be tight enough. It'll be small enough of an opening that it'll basically make the hole smaller and grip the gate. That didn't happen. It does have a couple holes on the top. There's the bolt that sheared. Now I'm like, what in the world am I gonna do? You'll see on the top there of the round part, it does have a couple holes. You could maybe do self-drilling screws. I did do that eventually, but there's not a lot of pressure on the gate. I think it would have been fine, but you'll see me drag my welder out there the next day after I get some bolts and kind of secure it. But anyway, on a side note, I am wondering, it was a really windy day out there, and that's why you don't hear a lot of background audio, because basically all you would hear is wind blowing if you heard most of the background, which is why I kind of thought about doing a new video format, just kind of narrating it today. So I might do this more often. This is kind of fun. I like talking. I like hearing myself talk. And I remember from Farm Sim, that's kind of what people enjoyed hearing the most, just me narrate along with my videos. So maybe that's just kind of what I'll do here. I'll just narrate my own little work videos instead of putting it to a time lapse. So maybe I'll do that. But I did want to talk a little bit about ghost controls. The reason why I went with ghost controls, there were a few other options that I could have gone with, but really, Ghost Control seemed to have the best reviews, and they had the best accessories, and they have a lot of options for stuff like that, like keypads on both sides to get in. You can hook up sensors. Right now, the safety for controlling, making sure the gate doesn't kill and squeeze a kid. It's a pressure sensitive thing, so if you have it closed too hard, or if it hits a car or a person, it'll pop back open if it feels too much pressure. Kind of like garage door openers, pretty much the same concept. But they also have sensors. But per the law, apparently you only need one of them. So the controller by default has the pressure. You can do sensors like eyes, electronic eyes that will sense a car or whatever, or a person, if you want that. But by default, it does not come with that. That's an add-on that I did not get. But like I was saying, it does have keypads. It can have a little magnetic wire that you bury underneath the ground. So, for example, if you want to have the gate automatically open on your way out, it can do that. The problem is I didn't, it says not recommended for livestock or animals. We have dogs. I don't think a dog would trigger that, but just in case, the whole point of having our acreage enclosed is so the dogs don't escape. So I didn't really hook up any accessories. I might do a keypad eventually if we start living out there and have guests come. So I didn't, that's something I can install later. Here I'm dragging up my welding equipment. Again, something else made more difficult by dogs. I could have, these were not fun to drag over the rocks, and they are not light. But I didn't want to have to take down the temporary gates that prevented the dogs from escaping and set them all up again after I delivered that stuff with my tractor. So again, something that is more difficult and longer with dogs. I just decided to do it. Here I'm just removing the paint a little bit, and you'll see how my welding job, I'm so confident in my welding that I did not show you the finished product because it kind of has a lot of splatter and looks kind of ugly. But, well, I guess flux core welding kind of looks ugly anyway because it's, it does typically have a lot of splatter. But it is great for the wind. It's great for open environments. So farms, kind of like flux core or just arc welding. And I didn't buy, I wish I kind of would have bought a kit that had a stick. I saw some, I think you have the option of doing stick or MIG or flux, but I just bought the cheapest welder at Harbor Freight, and that's good enough for this application. So here I just kind of tacked it on there, and I'm testing to make sure that it opens and closes level. It's not shifting. It's not putting any pressure on the opener. It's a pretty windy day today. It's not really pushing or blowing on the gate that much. I did read the highest failure rates on the openers are either using it on a gate that's too big, too long, too heavy, or more likely it's like if the bottom part of the fence there would have been solid, for example, it basically acts as a sail, and that can really push on the opener and cause it to kind of break quickly over time. There, I'm kicking out a fire that I started. Don't want to start my property on fire again. That would have been bad. That's another story for another time when I have more time. Anyway, just finish up welding. Talking a little bit about the wind. It was a windy day. I really hate working in the wind. I'm curious if anybody else also hates working in the wind. It just feels, I don't know, the property's so relaxing out there. When it's a windy day, it's a stark contrast because it just does not feel relaxing. It feels like chaos or I don't know. It just does not feel good. I really do not enjoy windy days. Even in the summer, it just I don't know. It's not relaxing. I love a strong breeze, but having too much wind there just really takes all the joy out of a lot of the joy rather out of being out there. But anyway, as I pack up here, I'm curious if anybody else kind of just really hates working outdoors in the wind. It just feels not relaxing. I don't know how else to describe it. Does anybody else feel that way? Anyway, talking about the wind, just to finish talking about the gate there. This is a lighter gate. These controllers are not made for like big, huge, heavy gates that are have decorative, stuff on there that would catch the wind and act as a sail. They do sell, I was talking about accessories earlier. They do have something called like a zombie lock that can go on the other side of the gate, and it locks and it really holds that gate in place. Uh, I've been thinking about that because it kind of could catch a lot of the wind there. It's kind of in the open, but I didn't really think that it would matter much. And as I just make sure my solar panel faces straight south, um, I didn't really think it would matter. And after having the gate out there for a few weeks now working, I don't think that I need the zombie lock. It seems to close just fine and hold its closed position. The wind doesn't really seem to push on this gate. It is a lighter gate. Like I said, the tube sizing isn't even what they expected for the hardware that they gave me. So I think a lot of gates are a little bit heavier than this, and even though I have the fence paneling on the bottom there so the dogs don't escape, I don't think that it'll be a problem. If I do ever have to replace that opener, though, because it fails early, I'll probably assume that it's just something from the wind, not a fault of the equipment. I'll probably get that zombie lock. They said that it's just a hard wire into the controller, and the controller's basically already set up for it. You just have to wired into the right slots, and then it opens before you actually, the gate starts moving. But anyway, it's a pretty simple setup. I kind of skipped the only setup part of the video. It's really you install the instructions are very clear, so I wouldn't worry about it if you're planning on doing this. But look at the dust shake off that fence from the rusted iron. But anyway, you really just hit the you install the opener at the full open position that you want, and then you close it, and you hit the first there's a first learn button or first jog button. I forget what it's called. You basically press and hold that button until it beeps, and then it remembers the closed position, and it already knows the open position because the cylinder has a limit switch when it's all the way open. And then you're done. It's a pretty simple, stupid, easy setup. So anyway, as I drop off my panels here, just about to wrap up as I drive my tractor on over to the mess that I created because I forgot to close the flaps on my little toolbox there. So I'm not sure why it is so oddly satisfying to watch pickup sticks here, but it is very, very satisfying for me to watch. So I just kind of left it in there at the end of the video for you to watch as well. But anyway, I wanted to thank you all for tuning in and watching this video. Be sure to let me know what you think of this format. I really think I like kind of narrating and talking, and it's kind of more fun than just the music, for me at least. I kind of like narrating and saying a little bit more about the process that I went through when I'm building or installing things that, during the time I could stop and narrate a little bit with what I'm going through, but it's kind of interrupted and I have a lot of thoughts in my head, and really I'm really just trying to work during that time. It's kind of annoying to have to stop and talk to the camera and then edit that in versus edit in other sounds. And I don't know. Let me know what you think about this format. I think I like it more. I might do it no matter what anybody else thinks because that's just how I roll. But I am curious if you guys like me talking more or if you prefer the older version with the music. And let me know what you guys think. Until then, I'll talk to you later. Bye.